Hello, so today I am talking to you about 12 books that I am hoping will be 5 stars for me in 2025. These are all 2025 releases, so this is kind of an anticipated releases video, except I'm sticking to 12 that I think I really will like. I am not going to do a 25 books in 2025. I barely read the 24 books in 2024. 25 was too many to enforce upon myself at the beginning of the year. So I'm not going there. We're just doing this. And most of these are books that I have requested on Netgalley, so I definitely will be reading them. And I'm hoping they will be 5 stars because 2024 has been a bit of a shit reading year, to be honest. So I'm trying not to fuck about with my reading next year, and really go for what I want to read. Some of these are by book authors I've read from before. Some of them just sound interesting. Some of them are me trying to go back to my historical fiction weird girl book roots, and seeing if that has any better effect. Wait, I need a thumbnail. So these are not in order at all, but I will leave the dates and information of everything in the description. Or also you leave a bookshop.org link, and I am a bookshop.org affiliate. So if you buy books through the link, it will help me out, but you don't have to. Just so you're aware. Now, the first one is The Pretender by Jo Harkin, which is out on the 24th of April next year. And this has been described as Wolf Hall meets Demon Copperhead, which is why I decided I wanted to read it. It could be hyperbole. It could be completely outside of that, but Wolf Hall and Demon Copperhead are two of my favourite books. So I'm really, really hopeful for this one. If it is like that, I will love it. If that is hyperbole and the writing is not good enough to justify comparing it to Hilary Mantel and Barbara Kingsolver, then I will riot. I don't know. So this is set in 1480 in England. It is about the much despised Richard III is not long for the throne, and the man who will become Henry VII stands poised to snatch the crown for himself. But for 12-year-old John Colin, living in a remote village with his widowed father, these matters seem far away. But history has other plans for John. Stolen from his family, exiled first to Oxford, then to Burgundy, and then Ireland, and apprenticed in a series of unscrupulous political operators, he finds himself groomed for power, not as John Colton, but as Edward Plantagenet, 17th Earl of Warwick and rightful heir to the throne. Far from home at the Irish court, preparing for a war that will see him become king or die trying, John just has his wits and the slippery counsel of his host's daughter, the unconventional Joan, to navigate the choppy waters ahead. Love it. Love political machinations in historical fiction. Need to get back to them. I'm really, really hoping. Please give this one good writing. If it's well written, I will definitely fall in love. Next, we have The Lamb by Lucy Rose, which is coming out on the 30th of January, so much sooner than the last one. This one has been described as being for fans of Sophie Mackintosh, Angela Carter, Daisy Johnson, Margaret Atwood, and Julia Armfield. Now, Angela Carter and Julia Armfield I love, and I love their weird, visceral, evocative, atmospheric writing. So that's where I'm hoping this goes. It's also been praised by Kirsty Logan, who again has really atmospheric writing. This is based on folk tales as well, which, as you may know, I do love. Not a myth retelling fan, but something with folk tale inspiration. Something like Till by Daniel Kelman, or What Is Not Yours by Helen Oyeyemi. That I am here for. Margot and Mama have lived in the forest since Margot can remember. When Margot is not at school, they spend quiet days together in their cottage, waiting for strangers to knock on their door. Strays, Mama calls them. Mama loves the strays. She feeds them wine, keeps them warm, then she satisfies her burning appetite by picking apart their bodies. But Mama's want is stronger than her hunger sometimes, and when a white-toothed stray named Eden turns up in the heart of a snowstorm, little Margot must confront the shifting dynamics of her family, untangle her own desires, and make her own bid for freedom. And it is described as a gothic coming-of-age tale, which I love. I love gothic books. I love coming-of-age books. So I am really hopeful for this. It's been described as the literary debut of 2025. I'm sure it is going to be one that has a lot of hype. So I'm here to begin that hype. Now, the next one is a collection that's coming out in 2025, but the actual stories themselves are much older. This is Voices of the Fallen Heroes by Yukio Mishima. I really love The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea by Mishima. I know he was a weird man. I know he was a very strange man, but I enjoyed his writing and I want to read some of his short stories. A writer seized by apocalyptic visions, a voyeurist marquis commits a brutal act, and a trio of beatniks dance to modern jazz in the ruins of an abandoned church. Here, stark autobiography contrasts with pure horror, and the tenderness of first love seeds into obsession, heartbreak, and deathly beauty. A new collection of Mishima's short stories from the 1960s, tracing the final decade of Mishima's career and offering a unique glimpse into the mind of one of Japan's greatest writers. Available in English for the first time. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. As I said, I love his writer. I think I love him as a writer. I think I'm leaning into like literary horror weirdness next year. I just love that stuff, and I don't think I've read enough of it this year. Next, we have The City Changes Its Face by Emma McBride. I've never read Emma McBride, but I know A Girl is a Half-Formed Thing was something that a lot of people loved, and I know I probably should read it. I've been reading a lot more Irish writers this year, so definitely want to continue doing that next year. This one is set in 1995 in London. Outside the filthy window, the city rushes by, but up in the flat there is only Eli and Stephen, 19 and 39, the total obsession of new love. 18 months later, a rainy Camden night, Eli and Stephen retrace the course of their 2-year romance. Now their world is merging with the commonplace, and tides from the past are intruding. Stephen has reconnected with his long-lost teenage daughter, Grace. Eli thinks about their future, and their flat feels different. The city changes its face. Intimate, experimental, and immersive. And it's been praised by Anne Enright and Jeanette Winterson. Again, I love Jeanette Winterson, who said, "A writer for whom language is an end, not a means, a beginning, not an end." So yes, definitely intrigued by that. I think Emma McBride's writing is quite stream of consciousness, quite experimental, and I definitely think I want to try some more of that stuff next year. Another writer that I've been meaning to read, we have Ripeness by Sarah Moss, which is coming out on the 22nd of May, so quite a while away. And one of the reasons I wanted this is because Hilary Mantel loves Sarah Moss, who she said throws much contemporary writing into the shade. So if Hilary Mantel admires Sarah Moss's writing, I definitely need to read it. I know lots of people talk about her writing on here as well, and I haven't read any of her works yet, so 2025 may be the year I begin. It is the 60s, and just out of school, Edith finds herself travelling to rural Italy. She has been sent by her mother with strict instructions to see her sister, ballet dancer Lydia, through the final weeks of her pregnancy, help at the birth, and then make a phone call which will seal this baby's fate and his mother's. Decades later, happily divorced and newly energised, Edith is living life of contentment and comfort in Ireland. When her best friend Maeve receives a call from an American man claiming to be her brother, Maeve must decide if she will meet him, and she asks Edith for help. So very intriguing, very interesting to see how that one plays out. Then we have a writer that I have loved before, Han Gang, whose novel We Do Not Part is coming out next year. Han Gang obviously won the Nobel Prize for Literature this year, and so there has been a lot of resurgence in interest in Han Gang. I have only read The Vegetarian, but definitely need to read more of her work, and so I want to read this one. Beginning one morning in December, We Do Not Part traces the path of Kyung-ha as she travels from the city of Seoul to the forests of Jeju Island, to the home of her old friend In-seon. Hospitalised following an accident, In-seon has begged Kyung-ha to hasten there to feed her beloved pet bird, who will otherwise die. Kyung-ha takes the first plane to Jeju, but a snowstorm hits the island the moment she arrives, plunging her into a world of white. Beset by icy winds and snow squalls, she wonders if she will arrive in time to save the bird, or even survive the terrible cold which envelops her with every step. As night falls, she struggles her way to In-seon's house, unaware as yet of the descent into darkness which awaits her. There, the long-buried story of In-seon's family surges into light, its dreams and memories passed from mother to daughter, and in painstakingly assembled archive documenting a terrible massacre on the island 70 years before. So I think this novel deals with a lot of Korea's past, which is something I'm interested in, and I think will have a lot of the similar sort of ambience and writing style as The Vegetarian, although of course a lot of that is writing style is difficult to tell when you're reading in translation. This one is translated by Lee Ye-won, which is Deborah White is the translation I have read for The Vegetarian, so it is a different translator. Be interesting to see how that affects the writing. I don't know if I said, but this one's coming out on the 6th of February. Next we have The Emperor of Gladness by Ocean Vuong. I have never read any Ocean Vuong, but I know everybody loves him. Nathan from Nathan Sanuk, Ebony Kane, they all love him as a writer, and he is a poet, although this is his second novel, but I do love reading novels written by poets because they pay such close attention to word choice and the writing of the book itself. The Emperor of Gladness follows a wayward young man in New England who, out of sheer chance, becomes caretaker for an 82-year-old widow living with dementia. Hallmarks of Vuong's writing, formal innovation, syntactic dexterity, and the ability to twin grit with grace through tenderness are on full display in this masterful story of friendship and how much we're willing to risk to possess one's life's most treasured mercies, a second chance. This is another example of a writer I've been meaning to read for a long time, coming out with a new work. Gives me the impetus to try them as a writer. I know I need to read On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. On Earth We're Briefly... What is it? It is gorgeous. That just sounded weird to me. Yes, I know I need to read that, but I haven't got round to it yet. But a writer that I have read from before and enjoyed a couple of works of is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, who is coming out with Dream Count this year. I think it's her first time in 10 years coming out with a novel. And so I am intrigued to see what she is writing about this year. Chiamaka is a Nigerian travel writer living in America. Alone in the midst of the pandemic, she recalls her past lovers and grapples with her choices and regrets. Zikora, her best friend, is a lawyer who has been successful at everything until, betrayed and broken-hearted, she must turn to the person she thought she needed least. Omelogo Chiamaka's bold, outspoken cousin is a financial powerhouse in Nigeria who begins to question how well she knows herself. And Kadiatou, Chiamaka's housekeeper, is proudly raising her daughter in America, but faces unthinkable hardships and threatens all that she has worked to achieve. Adichie trains her fierce eye on these women in a sparkling transcendent novel that takes up the very nature of loving itself. Of course, Adichie often writes about Nigerian women and their experience in the world, whether that is in Nigeria or in America or the UK. This is all, I think... This seems to all be Nigerian women in America. Oh no, there are 2 in America and 2 in Nigeria, I think. Anyway, I love the way that Adichie writes characters, and I think books can be quite melodramatic, but I enjoy them anyway. And this one is released on the 4th of March. Another strange one coming out on the 26th of January is The Hounding by Zenobi Purvis. This one I think is also historical fiction that could be described as gothic and weird. Definitely something that I have loved in the past, and I want to see how it plays out in this one. It's another debut, but one that I think a lot of people will be hyping up next year. Many stories are told about the 5 Mansfield sisters. They are haughty, thinking themselves better than their neighbours in the picturesque village of Little Nettlebed. They have taken the death of their grandmother hard. They are liars, troublemakers, untamed and dangerous. Accounts of their behaviour differ, but the villagers all agree that the girls are odd. One long summer, a heatwave descends. Bloated sea creatures wash up along the parched riverbed, animals grow frenzied, ravens gather on the roofs of those about to die. As the stifling heat grips the village, so does a strange rumour. The Mansfield sisters have been seen transforming into a pack of dogs. With the witch trials only a recent memory, hysteria sets in. Slowly but surely, the villagers become convinced that something strange is taking root in Little Nettlebed, and when a bark finally leads to a bite, the sisters will be the ones to pay. Definitely intrigued. Really love the cover of this one and find that synopsis so intriguing. We have another writer that I have been meaning to read and haven't got to. Helm by Sarah Hall is coming out on the 5th of June this year. And again, I think this is going to be a bit weird, a bit strange, a bit experimental, something I'm leaning into. Helm is a ferocious, mischievous wind, a subject of folklore and awe. As I said, folklore, something I'm interested in reading about, who has blasted the sublime landscape of the Eden Valley since the very dawn of time. Through the stories of those who've obsessed over this phenomenon, Helm's extraordinary history is formed. The Neolithic tribe who tried to placate Helm, the Dark Age wizard priests who wanted to banish Helm, the Victorian steam engineer who attempted to capture Helm, and the farmer's daughter who loved Helm. But now Dr. Salima Suter, surrounded by infinite clouds and measuring instruments in her observation hut, fears human pollution is killing Helm. Rich, wild and vital, Helm is the story of a unique life force and of relationships between nature and people. Very interesting, I think. The story of wind. Very strange. I'm hoping it will be good. But as I said, I've not read any Sarah Hall. Yeah, I've not read any Sarah Hall. Getting Sarah Hall and Sarah Moss confused. Let me know in the comments if you like Sarah Hall. If you think I will like Sarah Hall as well. I would love to know. Next we have City of Fiction by Yu Hua, which is coming out on the 24th of April. And again, it was the cover that really drew me to this one. I love it. It's creepy, but I enjoy it. In the early 20th century, so again, historical fiction, China is a land undergoing a momentous social and cultural shift, with a 1,000-year-old empire crumbling and the nation on the brink of modernity. Against this backdrop, a quiet man from the north embarks on a perilous journey to a southern city in the grip of a savage snowstorm. He carries with him a newborn baby. He's looking for the child's mother and a city that isn't there. This is a story of two people, a man who finds unexpected success after having journeyed to the hometown of a woman who abandoned him, and the woman he is searching for, who mysteriously disappeared to embark on her own eventful journey. This is a story about vanished crafts and ancient customs, about violence, love, and friendship. Above all, it is a story about change and storytelling itself. This is Europa Editions, who are a publisher that I really love. I've read a lot of works by them. They tend to, I think they only publish works translated into English, but I can't see here who is the translator. But yeah, definitely one I want to read. I want to read more Chinese fiction, books about China in general. So if you have any recommendations for books by Chinese writers or about China, please do let me know in the comments down below. I'm definitely looking to read more. And then finally, another writer that people have enjoyed, I have The Antidote by Karen Russell. This one's coming out on the 13th of March. So as I said, another writer that other people have enjoyed, have heard a lot about, but I haven't read from before. Visit the Antidote of Us, a prairie witch who can keep your memory safe. Speak into her emerald green ear horn, and your secrets, your shames, your private joys will leave your mind and enter hers. Until the Black Sunday storm, which flattens wheat fields, buries houses, and vaporizes every memory stored inside the antidote. She wakes up empty, as bankrupt as America. If her customers ever discover the truth, her life will be in danger. To the antidote's surprising defense comes Asphodel, a young tearaway, girls' basketball captain, an expiring prairie witch, who won't take no for an answer. Along with her uncle, a Polish wheat farmer, and a New Deal photographer with an enchanted camera, they must confront what has cursed this town, its land on the brink of ruin and its people on the edge of starvation. They run from the memories that have brought them here. Together, they face down the storm coming their way. And this one has been praised by Tommy Orange, who said, "This novel swept me up and carried me away, even while somehow burying me and digging up something about the story of this country I didn't know I needed to know." And it was also praised by Kaveh Akbar, who wrote Martyr, both of which writers I have read this year and enjoyed. So I definitely love to read books recommended by authors. And this is set in the Dust Bowl in the American South in the 1930s, South and Southwest, I think, the Dust Bowl. Anyway, so it is mystical, weird, historical fiction. I'm sorry, I have a cold. So if I sound weird, that's why. But anyway, this is the final book, and I think it fits with the theme of all of the other books that I have read. I have said I want to read so far. Hopefully these books will all be 5 stars. I don't necessarily have the best track record with predicting what books I'm actually going to like, but I am definitely intrigued enough by all of them so far. Let me know, as I said, throughout your thoughts in the comments down below, if there are any of these you are interested in. If you are new here, my name is Roisin. Welcome. Thank you for joining us, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.